Hey there, it's been a long time since I made a video or posted anything here on this channel. And just yesterday, uh, someone posted a comment on one of my videos saying that I haven't been uploading the channel for a very long time and asking me if I am giving up on this channel. So I realized it really has been a very long time since I posted anything here, and the fact is that we have been trying to find a way, working a way to restart this channel over the last few months. Me and my friends at Pρωτοσπαθάριοι, my reenactment team, we have been thinking about ways to feed content back into this channel, and it has been quite a while now that we have been working on something good to come. But this comment gave me a good chance to make a quick update, if you like, a small, video here about how our work has been progressing over the last years, and what we are going to be focusing from here on out. So, as some of you may know, I made a publication, an online journal publication, officially peer-reviewed, about the Byzantine army. You can find the link below this video, and the subject of this paper was on my research on the Byzantine army of the middle period, 10th to 11th centuries. One of the main sources of my research for this period, one of the biggest information pools, if you like, is the military treatise written by Leo the Wise in the beginning of the 10th century. So I was thinking that maybe it is a good idea if I start making a kind of short series about my paper, split it into different parts and subjects and present it here online with you. So and maybe I can make it this way easier accessible to the public. So I was thinking maybe I can start by making a reference to this work by Leo the Wise, Emperor Leo VI of the Byzantine Empire, and his work, the Tactica. There is a lot of debate about the middle period Byzantine army and what are the appropriate sources for studying it and reconstructing it. And it has been my feedback, my experience over the years is that the treatment of the academic community, of the modern scholars on Leo the Wise, Tactica, has not been very well presenting and not very, helping to the public. So for decades now, we have been told, if one, thinks that Leo's work isn't original. It isn't really something that has real life application to the Byzantine army of his period, because he's just copying Morris's Tactica, which was written about 3 or 4 centuries before Leo the Wise. But there are a lot of parts of Tactica that look like it's simply copying Strategicon. So many people are saying that Leon was not a field general. He spent most of his life at the palace. He had no real battlefield experience. So he was not writing out of genuine experience. So his writing isn't applicable. Basically, he was just copying, he was just copy pasting older scholars. But let's see how accurate this interpretation is, because if we're talking about primary sources of the past, of the historical past, if we're talking about written texts, it is always good not to rely on secondary interpretations and representations of those works. To us, because we are modern people, we need to find a way to get back into the context of the period that those sources were produced. So relying on secondary modern representations of scholars or whoever that may be is a good starting point, but it is not always the safest way to understand history. And one of the major problems of Byzantine sources is language. Medieval Greek is a language that is not easy to understand if you're not a native Greek speaker. Even native Greek speakers find it hard to read and understand, but with a few effort above our minimum, a well-educated modern Greek speaker can understand medieval Greek with a small effort, of course. But it is very, very hard when modern scholars who are not native Greek speakers try to interpret and represent those works. So what do we know about the Leo's Tactica, the work, the military treatise of this emperor? There is an addition to that work by an anonymous person, general or a scribe or whatever, that was written in about 50 years later, in 950. If Leo's work was written in around 900, I'm talking about the Sylogy Tacticorum. It is a few further chapters added to the end of Leo's Tactica, which are supplementary to his work, and they were written later, around 50 years later on. But there is an introduction to the whole book written by Leo himself, or dictated by him. So what does Leo is actually saying about his own work? Okay, because an analysis of the text will show you that he has indeed copied parts from the Strategicon, or maybe even he has even copied parts of works that haven't survived to us today, but they were accessible to him at the time. So what is very interesting about the Tactica, and why I think it is a work that has been neglected by modern scholars who prefer to focus for some reason more on Nikiforos Fokas έκθεση στρατηγική, but Leo's work is far more important and fundamental for the reasons that I will explain now. So in his preamble, in his opening introduction, Leo is talking directly to his generals, to the people of the administration that he wants to address, that he intends them to read it. And he's telling them that basically, for the last few decades, centuries, the Roman army, the medieval Roman or Byzantine army hasn't been working very well, hasn't been performing very well against its enemies. And we have been facing many problems with our enemies, such as Bulgarians and Arabs. So we need to do something about that. And Leo is basically saying that the reason of the military decline of the Byzantine army in his period and before him was because he thinks and he believes that strategy and tactics were neglected. Whereas ancient Romans and ancient Greeks were very good at that. They had written his pointing at throughout his texts. Leo is directly pointing to the ancient Macedonians and ancient Romans. He's praising the tactics and he's saying, look, we have to do like them, not copy them, but we have to understand their tactical mentality and work like them. So he's basically saying that he has studied all the military methods of the past, which means that he had read all the works that he is referring to. He had read Maurice's Strategicon, he had read the Roman writers, military treatises of the ancient Roman period, and he specifically says that he has collected, he has cherry-picked through that literature review, if you like, that he did, of what he thought would be most useful and applicable in his own time. He's deliberately saying that, hey, I copied because I meant to copy. He didn't just blindly repeat something he read. He wants it to be applicable. He wants it to have an educative value for his contemporaries. And history shows that it worked. He did have an educative value on his contemporaries, because for the next 150, around 150 years after Leo the Wise, the Byzantine Emperor ruled the world in all the four corners of its borders. So the Byzantine army was indeed reformed and reorganized based on his policies and his advice, and his work proves the mentality of the emperor himself. It is a lens into what direction the thematic army took to become the invincible fighting machine that Nikephoros Phokas basically inherited from his elders, to use it for his successful campaigns. So I think there is a lot that is still buried inside Leon's Tactica. There is a lot of information that one, even myself, has only scratched the surface of it. If you look at my published paper, I have only begun to hint at what is hidden inside Leo's Tactica. I have tried to pinpoint my focus on the arms and armor, but there is so much more in there. There is so much more about arms and tactics that one needs to go back every single time and read it again and again to see things that you may have missed the first time around. And one very good point to prove why Leo is very important in comparison to Phocas's work is that together with Συλλογή Τακτικό, without the addition of Συλλογή Tacticorum chapters, Leo's Tactica alone itself is 20 main chapters by itself. And then Συλλογή is another 15, I think, or so. So in total, it is more than 30 chapters, whereas Phocas' work is only 6. And one other characteristic, important element about Tactica is that, in comparison again to Phocas's treatise, is that it covers everything. Leo is covering equipment, organization, administration of both infantry and cavalry and navy, as well as battle tactics and general war strategy. It's an all-inclusive military encyclopedia, and whereas Focas is a very important, of course, source, but he's writing about only 50 years after Leon. He's not he's not belonging to a different period. We have to understand that Tactica must have been still in use and still be read as a primary military treatise at the time that Focas was writing. So, given the fact that Focas's work is so small compared to Leo, it makes sense that he's only adding to what is already an excellent work. He's only complementing to certain details that he thought were important for his own reasons. And so we see that and as far as arms and armor are concerned, Leo gives better information, more complete information about everything. His terminology, his vocabulary are much richer and diverse than Focas. He describes all aspects of light, medium, and heavy armor and all kinds of weapons. If there is any good chance that we may actually complement what we lack from archaeology through text evidence, it is Leo's work. Focas is also mentioning good information, but it is rather brief. You always get the feeling that he's missing out on something, that he's being very general, very abbreviative for some reason. He's making like an abstract description of everything without bothering to give you the details, because I guess he considered them known. He thought that everyone knew the details, so he didn't have to repeat them. This is the impression that you get from Focas, whereas Leo is actually going into the details. He's actually delving into the small stuff that he wants to make clear to his generals. So this is a quick restart. If you like a small catch up for my channel to you, and you can see some of our work on Instagram, and most of it, if not all of it, on our Facebook page. I have posted the links below this video, and you can follow us there to see what we have been doing while we were not present here on YouTube. And we have worked on so much stuff and projects over the last couple of years. We reconstructed 10th century Clivanium, actually, for which we may have to do a separate video and demonstration, a field demonstration actually, about how it works. So this is from me at the moment. Hope you have a great new year and see you around.